There is a man I watched for months without fully understanding what I was seeing. He sat in the same room as everyone else, heard the same criticism, absorbed the same pressure, faced the same chaos that was visibly breaking the people around him. But nothing landed on him the way it landed on them. Insults rolled off. Setbacks did not slow him. Betrayal, and there was real betrayal, did not produce the reaction anyone expected. He just kept moving. Same pace, same direction. Like the world's attempts to destabilize him were arriving at a fortress that had already anticipated every angle of attack. People called him cold. Some called him dangerous. He was none of those things. He was just built differently, not born differently. Built. And the longer I watched him, the more I understood that what separated him from everyone else in that room was not talent, not luck, not some personality trait he was handed at birth. It was architecture, internal architecture, constructed deliberately, quietly, over time, in ways the outside world never sees and never gets to measure. Machiavelli called it virtù, not virtue in the soft moral sense they teach you in school, the raw iron capacity to bend reality through will, through strategy, through a command of yourself so complete that nothing external can find a surface to grip. The most dangerous person in any room is not the loudest, not the most aggressive, not the one performing the most visible strength. It is the one who needs nothing from it. What I am about to give you cannot be untaught. Once you see it, you cannot go back to being manageable. Drop a comment right now and type, "I am unbreakable," because that is exactly what we are about to build. 1. Your mind is being controlled without you knowing. Let me tell you something nobody wants to say out loud. The world does not want you focused. Not as a metaphor, not as a conspiracy theory, as a cold, operational reality that has been running quietly in the background of your entire life. Unfocused men are predictable. Predictable men are consumable. They buy what they are told to buy. They believe what they are told to believe. They live inside boundaries that were handed to them before they were old enough to question them. Your distraction is someone else's profit. Every time you pick up your phone without intention, you are making a deposit into a system that feeds on your inability to govern yourself. Every time you react emotionally without strategy, you hand over a piece of the only thing you actually own. Every time you allow someone's opinion to redirect your energy, you are spending currency you cannot get back. You are not living, you are being harvested, slowly, silently, with your full cooperation. Machiavelli wrote something that most people read and misunderstand completely. He said, "Men are so simple and so obedient to present necessities that he who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived." Read that again. He is not talking about your enemies. He is talking about you, about the version of you that chooses comfort over clarity, noise over stillness, reaction over cold, deliberate action. The mind that cannot hold focus is not a free mind. It is a rented one. Someone else's thoughts live in it. Someone else's fears govern it. Someone else's timeline controls it. And the most terrifying part? Most people will go to their graves never once suspecting that the cage they lived in had no lock. Only habit. Think about your last 3 hours. How many times did you interrupt yourself? How many times did a notification pull you away from something that actually mattered? How many times did you choose the easier thing, the faster thing, the thing that felt productive but produced nothing? That is not a bad day. That is a pattern. And patterns are not accidents. Focus, real focus, is not a productivity trick. It is not a technique you learn from a course or a morning routine you read about in a blog post. It is a weapon. Cold, silent, devastatingly precise. It is the thing that separates the people who shape reality from the ones who simply react to it. The mind they never wanted you to sharpen is the one that sees this clearly, that recognizes the harvest, that refuses to keep funding it. You have been contributing to your own limitation for years, not because you are weak, not because you lack intelligence, because nobody ever told you what was actually being taken from you. Now you know. Drop a comment right now and type, "My mind is my weapon," because from this point forward, we sharpen it without mercy. 2. Why discipline feels painful at first. Here is the thing nobody in the self-help world wants to admit, because it destroys their entire product line. You are not lazy. You are not undisciplined. You are not lacking motivation or willpower or the right morning routine. You are addicted. And I mean that in the most precise, clinical, non-metaphorical sense of the word. Your brain has built a chemical loop around comfort, around avoidance, around the specific, repeatable act of choosing the easier thing when the harder thing was available. Here is how it works. Every time you avoid something difficult, your brain releases a small reward, a microdose of relief, of safety, of "I handled that." Your nervous system files it as a win. And because your brain is built to repeat what feels like a win, it builds a stronger and stronger pull toward avoidance every single time you follow through on it. You have been rewarded, neurologically, for running from difficulty, hundreds of times, maybe thousands, and now you wonder why starting feels impossible. Think about this for a second. How many times have you opened your phone today without knowing why, put it down, then picked it up again within 30 seconds? Started something, felt the first edge of discomfort, and quietly pivoted to something easier without even noticing the decision. That is not a character flaw. That is withdrawal. That is your brain completing its loop. The men who appear to have extraordinary focus and discipline are not built differently than you. They do not have more willpower. Willpower is a lie the industry sells because it puts the failure back on you. These men broke the chemical loop. They did it painfully, repeatedly, without applause, until their nervous system stopped firing reward signals for avoidance and started firing them for execution instead. Machiavelli understood this without the neuroscience. He wrote, "He who neglects what is done for what ought to be done sooner effects his ruin than his preservation." Translation: the man who keeps choosing the comfortable thing over the necessary thing is not resting. He is building the architecture of his own collapse, brick by brick, comfortable choice by comfortable choice. Breaking the addiction is not about forcing yourself through willpower. It is about understanding that the discomfort you feel when you start something hard is not a signal to stop. It is a withdrawal symptom. It is your brain throwing a small tantrum because you are interrupting its favorite loop. Let it tantrum. Stay in the discomfort for 60 more seconds, then 60 more. Each time you do, you are not just completing a task. You are rewiring which loop gets the reward. You are retelling your nervous system what a win actually looks like. You do not need more motivation. You do not need a better system. You need to break the loop that has been quietly running your life, and breaking it starts the moment you see it for what it is. 3. The moment you decide who you really are. Let me ask you something, and I want you to sit with this honestly. How many times have you said these words, or something close to them? I'm just not a morning person. I've always been too emotional. I've never been good at staying consistent. That's just how I am. If you have said any version of those sentences, you have not been describing yourself. You have been locking yourself. Here is what most people never understand about the psychology of change. Your brain does not resist change because it is lazy. It resists change because change feels like death. Specifically, it feels like the death of whoever you have told yourself you are. The brain treats identity like survival. Threaten the identity, and the brain fires the same alarm systems it fires when physical safety is at stake. This is not philosophy. This is how the brain actually works. The same mechanisms that kept your ancestors alive now keep you small because you taught them what you looks like. Every time you said, "I'm not a morning person," and proved it by staying in bed, you added another brick to the prison wall. Not because you chose poorly, because your brain was succeeding at its job. It was protecting the version of you it had on file. This is why information does not change people. You can watch 100 videos about focus and discipline, and if at the core of your identity you still believe you are someone who struggles with both, your brain will quietly, efficiently sabotage every attempt you make to be otherwise. Machiavelli understood something about this that most modern thinkers still miss. He was exiled, stripped of his position, his power, his status, everything the world had used to define him. But he never let the world's definition become his own. In that brutal, forced solitude, he did not become the exiled man. He became the observer, the strategist, the one who understood power so completely that even without any of it, he could write the manual that rulers would fear for centuries. His identity was not assigned by his circumstances. It was chosen, deliberately, finally. That is the principle. Discipline is not a behavior. It is a declaration of who you are. And declarations must be made with finality, not negotiation, not "I'll try," not "I'm working on it." The moment you tell yourself, with absolute cold certainty, "I am someone who does the hard thing," your brain begins the process of defending that identity instead of the old one. It does not happen overnight, but it begins the moment the declaration is made, without room for argument. Your identity is either working for you or against you right now. There is no neutral. The question is, who put the current version in place, and whether you are going to let it stay. Drop a comment and type, "I decide who I am." 4. Why discipline requires brutality. Every self-help book ever written has lied to you about discipline. Then they dressed it up in morning routines, color-coded planners, motivational wallpapers. They made it palatable, digestible, safe, because safe things sell, and the industry needs you to keep buying. But here is what real discipline actually is. The kind that makes a man genuinely untouchable. It is not a routine, it is a funeral. It is the daily, unglamorous, completely unwitnessed burial of every version of yourself that would rather negotiate than execute. You do not build discipline. You excavate it. You dig through layers of excuse, layers of inherited softness, layers of the quiet, reasonable voice inside you that has spent years convincing you that rest is deserved before it is earned, that tomorrow is the better starting point, that you have been working hard enough already, and one exception is fine. That voice is not your friend. It is the architect of your limitations. And it must be buried, not silenced, not reasoned with, not understood, buried. Think about the version of yourself that still lives inside you right now. The one who makes promises to himself on Sunday nights with complete sincerity. The one who sets the alarm and negotiates with it before it even goes off. The one who says, "This is the weak," and believes it, genuinely believes it, every single time. That version did not disappear. He is still in there, still building perfectly rational arguments for why today is the exception, why the circumstances are different, why this particular moment does not count. He is fluent, convincing. He knows exactly what language works on you because he is you. And every day you do not bury him. He runs more of your life than you know. Machiavelli observed, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. A man must be both." Think about what that actually requires. To be both demands a split inside yourself. The cold, calculating mind that plans without emotion, and the relentless, almost savage will that executes without hesitation. No negotiation between the two, no committee, no discussion. Discipline is the bridge between those two forces. But the bridge is not built once. It is built every single morning, in the dark, before anyone is watching, in the specific moment when every comfortable instinct is telling you to wait. Here is the truth nobody will tell you about discipline at its deepest level. Real discipline is not about doing hard things. Any person can do something hard once, twice, 100 times. Real discipline is about becoming someone for whom the hard thing is no longer hard, because you have destroyed every version of yourself that found it difficult. That destruction is not comfortable. It is not supposed to be. There will be nights where the only thing standing between where you are and where you are going is a decision nobody will see. Nobody will applaud, nobody will ever know about. Except you. Those are the moments that separate the formidable from the forgettable. The grave you dig for your weakness becomes the foundation of your empire. Bury it every single day. Without applause, without witnesses, without mercy. Drop a comment right now and type, "I bury weakness daily." 5. Why emotional control is real power. Here is a scene that most men know from the inside. Someone says something to you. In a meeting, at a family dinner, in a conversation you did not expect to go sideways. And within 3 seconds, you are fully inside it. Heart rate up, thoughts racing, the entire architecture of your focus collapsing into one moment, one person, one sentence that may not have even been aimed at you. You spend the next 2 hours in that moment, replaying it, rehearsing what you should have said, running alternate versions of the conversation where you win. That is not a reaction. That is a trap. And the trap was built specifically for you, using material you provided. Here is the thing most men are never told about emotional reactions. The problem is not that you feel things. The problem is where you are standing when you feel them. Most men live inside the movie. Every insult is a plot twist that stops the entire story. Every betrayal is a climax that breaks the structure. Every moment of friction is a scene they have to act through, react to, survive. The man who has mastered himself does not live inside the movie. He sits in the director's chair. He watches the scene unfold with cold curiosity. He does not deny that the scene is happening. He does not suppress the emotion. He observes both. And then he asks the only question that matters. Does responding to this serve my strategy? Not, does this deserve a response? Not, am I allowed to be angry? Not, what does this say about me? Does a responding serve the strategy? If the answer is no, he files it, continues moving. The scene plays out without him in it. This is what Machiavelli meant when he wrote, "Never attempt to win by force what can be won by strategy." Emotion is force, unregulated, undirected, expensive force that costs more than it returns. The observer position is strategy, cold, efficient, available only to the man who has practiced standing outside himself while everything inside him is moving. The brain of a man with genuine composure is not less active than yours. It is not less emotional. It is positioned differently. He has created enough internal distance between the stimulus and the response that choice exists in that gap. That gap is everything. It is where dignity lives, where power is preserved, where the move gets made instead of the reaction getting performed. Marcus Aurelius, a man who commanded the most powerful empire in the world and faced betrayal from men he trusted completely, wrote this in his private journal. "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He was not writing it as wisdom for others. He was writing it as a daily practice for himself, a reminder to stay in the chair. The shift from actor to director is the entire difference between a man who gets played and a man who plays the game. Take the chair. 6. The less you need, the more powerful you become. Watch two people walk into the same negotiation. The first man needs to close the deal. He has been thinking about it for days. He has rehearsed his pitch. He has calculated what he can afford to concede. The need is real, it is present, and no matter how well he hides it, it is visible. Not in what he says, in how he holds himself, in the micro hesitations before he speaks, in the way he listens a little too carefully when the other side talks. The second man would prefer the deal. He can see its value. He has done his preparation. But he also has 3 other options he is equally willing to pursue. He is in the room because it makes sense to be, not because he requires a particular outcome from it. Watch what happens. The first man gives ground before he is asked to. He over-explains his position because the silence feels dangerous. He accepts terms he did not want because walking away feels like failure. The second man creates silence deliberately. He listens without urgency. When he speaks, it carries weight because there is no desperation in it. And when the terms are not right, he stands up, says it was a good conversation, and moves toward the door. Who gets the better deal? Not the better negotiator, the one with less need. This is one of the coldest truths Machiavelli ever identified, and he never stated it plainly because he expected his reader to be sharp enough to extract it from what he observed about princes and their fatal dependencies. The prince who needed loyalty collapsed the moment loyalty was withdrawn. The prince who needed to be loved became controllable through that love. The prince who needed to appear strong spent all his energy managing appearances instead of building actual position. A prince should rely on what is in his own control, not on what is in the control of others. Need is never in your control. The moment you need something from someone, you have placed a piece of your power inside them. They may not even know they are holding it, but it is there, and at any moment, consciously or not, they can use it. This is not an argument for coldness. It is not a prescription for detachment from everything that matters. It is a principle of construction. Build more options than you need, develop more capabilities than any single situation requires. Create enough alternatives in every area of your life that no single outcome carries the weight of necessity. When you have 3 paths forward, losing one is a recalibration. When you have only one, losing it is a collapse. The man who operates from abundance, who genuinely has more than he needs in any given moment, stops performing, stops over-explaining, stops filling silences with noise. He simply is what he is, and what he is is enough without your confirmation. That posture is not arrogance, it is the result of construction. Deliberate, patient, unglamorous construction. Drop a comment and type, "I need nothing from this room." 7. The hidden cost of staying around. Weak people. There is a war being fought against you right now, not with weapons, not with words, not with any visible act of aggression you could name, confront, or prepare for. It is being fought with presence, with proximity, with the slow, invisible drain that certain people produce simply by existing in your orbit. And most people never detect it until the damage is already done. Here is the mechanism. Every human being operates at a certain level of mental and emotional output. The people who are not building, not growing, not moving toward anything real, they do not generate their own energy. They cannot. They are extractors, and they have spent years, sometimes decades, perfecting the art of feeding from whoever is closest to them. You have felt this. You have sat with certain people and left the conversation inexplicably drained, further from yourself than you were before it started. Less clear, less focused. Less like the version of you that was operating well before you walked into the room. That is not your imagination. That is a transaction you did not agree to. Machiavelli was precise about proximity. He observed that men are defined not just by their own character, but by the character of whoever their character tolerates. Read that carefully. Toleration is not neutrality. Toleration is endorsement. Every person you allow sustained access to your time, your energy, your inner world, is either compounding your power or quietly, consistently, relentlessly dismantling it. There is no middle ground. There never was. The coldest truth about human relationships, the truth that will cost you comfort but return you power, is this. Most people in your life are not allies in your ascent. They are anchors dressed as companions. They do not wish you failure consciously, but they are deeply, subconsciously threatened by your evolution. Because your growth is a mirror that reflects their stagnation back at them in devastating clarity. And mirrors that show that kind of truth are not comfortable to be around. So they pull, subtly, through small discouragement, through just enough doubt, through the quiet, persistent gravity of someone who needs you to stay exactly where you are so that where they are feels acceptable. Cut the anchors, not with anger, not with drama, not with the loud emotional severance that weak men perform for an audience. With silence, with distance, with the cold, precise decision of someone who understands that this is not a social choice. It is a strategic one. No announcement, no explanation, no guilt about protecting what you have built. The surgeon does not apologize for removing what is killing the patient. He removes it, cleanly, completely, and moves forward. Your circle is not a collection of relationships. It is the environment in which everything you are trying to build will either survive or be strangled. Choose it accordingly. Drop a comment right now and type, "I protect my energy like an empire." 8. Why pressure creates. Powerful men ask almost any man about the best version of himself, and he will tell you about a moment of crisis. The period after the breakup when he trained every day and stopped caring what anyone thought. The months after losing a job when he built something from nothing and discovered a version of himself he did not know existed. The season after the failure when everything was stripped back and he moved with a clarity he had never felt before. And then ask him what happened after the crisis passed. He slowed down. The clarity faded. The urgency disappeared. He went back to the comfortable pace, back to the negotiated version of himself, back to who he was before the world forced him to be more. This is the pattern most men live inside their entire lives. Crisis produces the best version of them. Comfort erases it. Crisis returns. The cycle repeats. And nobody ever stops to ask the most important question. Why do you need the crisis? Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man in the world. He commanded armies, governed empires, and held authority that no one could challenge. Nothing forced him to write daily letters to himself, questioning whether he was living with enough integrity, enough discipline, enough deliberate intention. He manufactured his own pressure, every night, in private, without audience, without the external threat that most men require before they access their real capability. He understood something that took years to articulate clearly. The man who waits for crisis to discover his strength is always one step behind his own potential. He has outsourced his development to circumstance. He has made his best self conditional on the world being bad enough to demand it. The dangerous man does not wait. He creates the conditions that force growth, even when the world is comfortable enough to allow stagnation. Set a deadline that is slightly too tight. Commit to something publicly before you are certain you can deliver. Choose the path that costs more, demands more, returns more, even when the easier path is available and acceptable. Not because suffering is valuable, but because your brain adapts to what it is asked to handle. Give it comfort consistently, and it calibrates for comfort. Give it pressure consistently, and it calibrates for pressure. Machiavelli wrote, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." But there is a layer beneath that most readers miss. The wise man does not just act faster. He creates the conditions that make acting necessary before the world gets around to forcing his hand. Stop waiting for life to hand you a crisis worthy of your best effort. Create the stakes. Manufacture the pressure. Build the conditions where softness is not an option, not because the world demands it, but because you demand it of yourself. The men who changed history did not become who they were because of what happened to them. They became who they were because of what they refused to wait for. 9. The power of silent discipline. There is a level of operating that most people will never understand from the outside, because from the outside it looks like nothing. No announcements, no updates, no visible ambition, no performance of struggle. Just quiet, deliberate, completely invisible forward movement that nobody sees coming until it has already arrived. Most men cannot do this, not because they lack the ability, because they are addicted to being seen. They announce goals on social media before they have done the first hard step toward them. They talk about their plans at dinner with an energy that feels like momentum, but is actually its substitute. They wear their hunger openly in every room they enter, and in doing so, they do two things they cannot afford. They invite resistance from people who are threatened by what they are building, and they satisfy the need for progress before the actual progress has happened. That second one is the more dangerous of the two. The moment you tell someone about a goal and receive their validation, your brain registers a partial reward. The loop that was supposed to close on completion now has a shortcut, and the drive that should have been fuel for execution gets spent on announcement. Machiavelli saw this operating at the level of princes and warfare, but the mechanism is the same at every scale. He wrote, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him." He understood that the man whose plans are visible is the man whose plans can be countered. The psychologically invisible man operates differently. He has disconnected his internal world from his external presentation so completely that people consistently underestimate him. And he does not correct them. He stores every dismissal, every room that overlooked him, every opportunity they assumed he could not handle. He stores it in cold, patient silence and converts it into fuel at a rate that the people doing the dismissing will never be able to calculate. The shadows are not where broken men hide. They are where dangerous men build. Go dark. Not because you are afraid, because you understand that the most powerful announcement you can make is a result, not a declaration. Results cannot be argued with. They cannot be dismissed. They cannot be countered by someone who did not see them coming. Let the work happen invisibly. Let the construction happen in silence. Let the people who need to perform their ambition perform it. You have no use for the audience. Your only job is the outcome. Your only announcement is what you have built. When it arrives, it will not need your explanation. It will need nothing from the room. Drop a comment and type, "My silence is my strategy." 10. Become the man. The world cannot move. There is a threshold. Most men circle it their entire lives without crossing it. Close enough to feel the heat. Close enough to glimpse what exists on the other side. Then they retreat. Back into familiarity. Back into a life that asks nothing and gives just enough comfort to make the retreat feel reasonable. The threshold has a name. It is the point where your internal world becomes completely independent of your external circumstances. Loss cannot collapse you. Rejection cannot redirect you. Failure cannot define you. The opinions of others register as background noise in a storm you are no longer standing inside. This is not detachment from life. It is sovereignty over it. Machiavelli described the truly formidable man as one who bends fortune like a river, not by force, but by constructing channels through which it has no choice but to flow in his direction. That construction is internal before it is ever external. People feel it before they understand it. They cannot articulate what is different, but something in them recognizes the signal. He is unreadable, unpressurable, and that produces something equal parts respect and discomfort. The world will try to pull him back, through provocation, through guilt, through the weaponized opinions of people who need him small, so their own smallness feels acceptable. Recognize every one of those attempts for what they are. The attacks are not evidence of your vulnerability. They are evidence of your power. Every provocation is an involuntary tribute. Cross the threshold. Burn the bridge. Never negotiate your return. That version of you is gone. What remains is what you were always capable of being. Remember the man I told you about at the beginning, the one nobody could move, not because he was born different, not because the world treated him better, not because he never felt the pressure, the betrayal, the weight of everything trying to break him, but because of what he built, quietly, deliberately, in ways nobody saw coming. You just spent this entire time learning exactly how he built it. He broke the loop, not with willpower, with understanding of what the loop actually was. He declared who he was, and his brain spent every day after that defending the right version. He buried the negotiating voice every morning without applause, without witnesses. He stepped out of the scene, took the chair, and watched the game instead of being played by it. He stopped needing outcomes, and the moment he did, everything shifted in his direction. He cut what was draining him, cleanly, without drama, without explanation. He manufactured his own pressure, before the world could force him into it. He moved in silence, and let the result be the only thing that spoke. And then he crossed the threshold, the one most men circle their entire lives without ever stepping through. Machiavelli did not write for the masses. He wrote for the one, the singular, rare, coldly sovereign individual who looks at the world without illusion, without the need for its approval, and moves anyway. That individual was never a fantasy. He was always you, before the comfort, before the conditioning, before the harvest. Now you remember. If this video restructured something inside you, like it, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Every video on this channel is a weapon. Make sure you are never unarmed. And drop this final comment. I am the man nobody could move.